Welcome to sleepy cosmic. Take a slow breath. Panned, imagine time beginning to fade. Not forward, not backward, just still. The ticking of clocks, the rush of days, the noise of thoughts, all begin to dissolve into a soft, endless silence. You're floating now, weightless between moments, between galaxies, between every heartbeat that ever was and ever will be. In this quiet expanse, there's no past to chase, no future to reach, only the gentle rhythm of now. The stars around you pulse in slow motion, as if the universe itself has fallen into a deep, peaceful dream. Maybe this is what time truly feels like when it stops watching us, when it simply breathes. So tonight, as we drift through the spaces between seconds, let's explore the strange and beautiful stillness that hides inside time itself. Before time began, there was a stillness, and within it, everything waited to become. You might imagine that stillness as an emptiness, a hollow before creation, but that's not quite true. In that hush, something deeper stirred, a possibility, soft and unmeasured, breathing beneath the surface of nothing. If you listen closely now, you can still hear it, the quiet pulse of existence before it learned to count seconds. That's where we begin tonight, not in sound or story, but in that sacred pause between what was and what is. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel how the world slows when you decide to notice. The walls don't move, but the air does faint, shifting, alive. The mind wants to chase after meaning, but the heart knows this hush well. It's the same calm that holds the sky before dawn, the same peace that lives in the ocean before the tide turns. Every living thing, even you, is born from that moment between motion and rest. And tonight we drift back into it, not as travelers, but as rememberers of what silence truly means. There's something almost sacred about noticing the space between sounds. Think of the pause between two piano notes, or the silence just before someone you love whispers your name. Those little absences aren't empty, they're pregnant with emotion, with awareness, with a weight of everything that could exist but hasn't yet unfolded. What if the universe itself began with such a pause? A cosmic inhale held just a second too long, until energy couldn't bear the waiting and burst into being. You are sitting now within a similar pause. The world spins, clocks tick, stars burn, yet here in your awareness everything has slowed to a near stop. Your breath has become a tide. Each inhale stretches out across a universe. Each exhale returns you gently home. The more you listen, the more infinite this stillness becomes. There's a quiet hum underneath, like a note from a distant cello, ancient, patient, endless dot. It's strange how the mind fears silence. We fill it with noise, with thought, with the endless scroll of tomorrow. Yet silence is not our enemy. It is the first language of creation. Every atom was once part of it. The same stillness that lived before the first star lives in the gap between your heartbeats. When you realize that, you start to see time differently, not as a rushing river, but as a still lake reflecting the moon. If you could look at time from outside itself, you'd see something beautiful. Moments wouldn't line up in a chain. They'd bloom all at once, like stars in a single breath. The past would glimmer beside the future, and you, dear listener, would float in the middle, untouched by either. That is the essence of stillness, not stopping time, but stepping outside its current long enough to feel what eternity might be like. What if the quiet between seconds holds the secret of existence? That question lingers like starlight, faint but impossible to ignore. Science tells us that between each quantum vibration there is a pause, a flicker where reality itself hesitates before continuing its dance. In that hesitation lies the mystery of consciousness. It's as though the universe blinks, and in that blink, awareness slips through. Maybe that's what you're feeling now. The awareness of being aware. The soft pulse of being both here and beyond here. Let yourself float inside that awareness. Imagine yourself as nothing more than a point of light suspended in infinite space. There's no up or down, no yesterday or tomorrow. Only the gentle vibration of being. You begin to notice that even this vastness has texture, a faint shimmer, like dust suspended in sunlight. It's the residue of moments passing, the afterglow of time dissolving around you. And though everything moves, nothing rushes. You have entered the still point where existence pauses to breathe. The body relaxes as the mind releases its grip. Muscles soften, shoulders sink, thoughts loosen their edges. You are not trying to stop time anymore. You are allowing it to flow through you, gentle as water through open hands. The more you release, the more you become part of the quiet itself. There's no separation now, just awareness folding into awareness, breath merging with breath. You are inside the heartbeat of stillness, and it feels like coming home. Think of all the noise that fills your waking life, alarms, messages, expectations, the constant hum of doing. Create the illusion that movement equals meaning. But when you step into stillness, you realize something extraordinary. Movement was never the goal. It was only the path leading you back to this moment. Stillness isn't the absence of life. It's the recognition of it. The tree doesn't grow faster because the wind rushes by. It grows silently, rooted in the unseen dialogue between soil and sky. You, too, are rooted in such dialogue. Beneath your thoughts lies a deep ground of awareness that never moves, no matter how turbulent the surface becomes. That is your stillness, your private cosmos. Every breath you take is a bridge connecting the seen and the unseen. You inhale time, you exhale eternity. The contrast between them, that gentle tension, is what gives you the sensation of being alive. Have you noticed how time feels elastic when you're at peace? A minute can stretch into forever, or an hour can vanish in a blink. This is not illusion. It's perception freed from measurement. When you let go of counting, time folds like silk, and what remains is presence, the eternal now. The mind resists it at first, fearing the loss of control. But soon it discovers something sweeter than control, surrender. And in surrender you find power, real power, the kind that comes not from grasping but from allowing. When you stop fighting time, you realize it was never fighting you. It was carrying you like a river carries a leaf, always toward the ocean of stillness from which it began. Imagine standing on the edge of that ocean now. The water is dark and endless, yet calm. Each ripple is a moment, each wave a memory. You watch them fade and return, and suddenly you understand that every experience, joy, pain, love, loss, is simply another rhythm of that same eternal tide. You were never separate from it. You were always the tide itself, exploring what it feels like to move and then to rest. Breathe. Let that understanding sink into you. The silence here isn't cold or empty. It's alive with possibility. Within this quiet, the universe writes new beginnings. Within this stillness, you are rewritten too. The longer you linger, the more you dissolve into something vast and peaceful. Time loosens its hold, and for a heartbeat, eternity feels close enough to touch. And perhaps that's the secret hidden in the quiet, between moments, that you don't need to chase meaning across galaxies. It's already here, in the pause before your next breath, in the space where sound becomes silence again. This is where the universe listens back. Time doesn't tick or flow, it breathes. You can almost feel it now, can't you? That quiet inhalation that stretches between heartbeats, that gentle exhale as a memory drifts away. Time is not the rigid rhythm of a clock. It's a pulse woven through everything that exists. Imagine closing your eyes and sensing it within you. A current that hums beneath thought itself. It doesn't ask you to chase it, only to notice that it's always been here, waiting to be felt rather than measured. Perhaps you've tried to hold time before. You've stared at a sunset and wished it would linger just a few seconds longer, or watched someone walk away and begged the moment not to end. But time, elusive and soft, slips through every grasp. It's not something that can be owned. It moves like water, patient, persistent, reshaping everything it touches. Even the mountains bow to it, slowly wearing down until their stories become dust floating on wind. Einstein once said that time and space are not separate threads, but one fabric, a living tapestry. When you move, time bends around you. When gravity deepens, it stretches. Imagine floating near a star so massive that minutes begin to behave like hours. You'd feel as though the universe itself was slowing down to breathe beside you. And yet, somewhere far away, another you would be moving faster, their seconds flickering like candlelight. Both are true. Both are now. There's something comforting about that, isn't there? To know that the moment you're in, this quiet one, is expanding outward, touching distant galaxies in its own rhythm. Time is not rushing past you, it's expanding with you. Each thought, each inhale, each heartbeat sends ripples across the invisible river. The surface might appear calm, but beneath it, entire worlds are rearranging. You are part of that motion, whether you notice it or not. Think of the first time you became aware of time passing. Maybe it was a childhood afternoon that felt endless. The air smelled of warmth and dust, and the world had not yet learnt to hurry. Then, without warning, that same day became memory. How strange that something so vast could live inside your mind, a tiny capsule of a moment that refuses to fade. Time stores itself within you, echoing as nostalgia. That ache you feel for what's gone is not sadness. It's recognition of the river's gentle pull. Sometimes we try to swim upstream, tear. We look back and imagine what could have been, but the current only carries us forward, whispering that there's no need to struggle. Everything you have been is folded into this single present, not lost, but transformed. You are the continuation of every breath that came before. If you pause long enough, you can sense the symmetry between who you were and who you're becoming. Now, picture yourself drifting in space. No clock, no sunrise, only the rhythm of your breath and the heartbeat of distant stars. Peer, time has no edges. Seconds dissolve into silence. Minutes blur into meaning. This is what eternity feels like. Not endlessness, but stillness that contains all motion. A paradox, yes, but the universe loves those. It was born from one. Science tells us that every moment you live is stitched into space-time, like pearls on an infinite thread. The past doesn't vanish. It simply moves out of reach, curving away along the river's bend. Somewhere, the version of you who laughed yesterday still exists, forever laughing. The version who first gazed at the night sky is still there, eyes wide with wonder. Time doesn't erase. It preserves, quietly, in the folds of existence. And so, when you feel rushed, remember this. You are already inside time's embrace. There's nowhere else to be. The universe doesn't demand you keep pace. It only asks that you stay awake enough to notice the texture of each passing second. Let it brush against you like wind through leaves. Feel its softness, its surrender. When you surrender too, you stop fighting the inevitable and start moving with it. The heartbeat of the cosmos becomes your own. You are not separate from the flow. You are the flow. Each thought you have is a ripple in space-time. Each emotion, a spark of gravity pulling your awareness toward meaning. Isn't that extraordinary? The same force that curves light around stars also shapes the direction of your life. Take a breath. There's no need to rush ahead. The river will carry you where you're meant to go. It always has. The illusion of control fades when you realize that even in stillness, you're traveling through eternity. The galaxies spin. Atoms vibrate. Your cells renew motion within rest. Rest within motion. That's the secret heartbeat of time. You can sense now that time isn't outside you. It's within. When your heart slows before sleep, when thoughts settle into silence, you meet time not as an enemy, but as a companion. It watches over you, tender and ancient. The same current that moves the stars moves through your veins. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's what it means to be alive. to breathe in rhythm with the cosmos itself. Space isn't empty. It's the soft fabric that holds all things together. You've probably heard those words before. Maybe in a science documentary or a quiet late-night conversation. But tonight, let's not just think about them. Let's feel them. Imagine yourself lying on your back beneath a vast sky where stars shimmer like drops of dew on a dark silk cloth. The night is still. The world around you has exhaled. The noise, the movement, the unending rush of life, all have softened into silence. And in that silence, you begin to sense something beneath everything you know, a presence that isn't visible, yet holds the weight of everything that is. That is the fabric of space. It's not cold, not harsh, not distant. It's soft, almost gentle, like a cosmic breath that never stops, quietly connecting you to the farthest edges of existence. As you rest in this thought, picture the universe not as a void, but as a living ocean, calm on the surface, infinitely deep beneath. Every star is a ripple, every planet a pebble disturbing the surface of that great cosmic sea. Even light itself moves like a current, bending gently around worlds as if caught in an invisible tide. You can almost feel it, that subtle pull, that slow, graceful curve of existence. Nothing in this universe is truly still. Even the silence hums, if even the darkness moves. It's easy to forget that down here, where everything feels heavy, defined, and separate, but out there and inside you, too, everything is suspended in that same invisible weave. The same softness that holds galaxies together also cradles the thoughts drifting through your mind. Now, take a breath, slow, unhurried. As you inhale, imagine that fabric drawing close around you, not to trap you, but to hold you, the way the ocean holds a floating leaf. You are weightless here. Time doesn't rush past you. It folds, curls, and stretches, almost playfully, around your awareness. If you listen closely, you can sense the rhythm of the universe in the quiet between each heartbeat. That pulse isn't separate from yours. It is yours. The stars are not far away. They are inside the same space that lives in you. When Einstein described space as something that bends and curves under the weight of mass, he was describing not only the motion of galaxies, but the nature of connection itself. Everything you've ever touched, loved, lost, or dreamed of, all of it rests in this same pliable fabric. The same cosmic ocean that carries planets also carries memory. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a single star, hanging alone in the dark. Around it, the fabric of space bends softly, like a hammock holding the light. You can almost see the curvature, not sharp, but elegant, flowing. If you could trace the path of that light, you'd see it slide around the star, like water flowing around a smooth stone in a stream. That gentle curve is gravity, not a force pulling, but a shape being followed. And suddenly it makes sense. We are not being dragged by invisible hands. We are moving through a landscape that was woven for motion. Even now, sitting or lying still, you are gliding through time, through space, through a fabric so immense it humbles the imagination. And yet there's comfort in that humility. Because if the universe itself is soft, if it bends instead of breaks, maybe you can too. Maybe every burden you've ever carried isn't something to resist, but something that naturally curves the space around you, shaping your story, giving it depth. The stars bend light because they exist. We bend reality because you feel. There's something profoundly human in that thought. The idea that the structure of space mirrors the structure of emotion. When your heart feels heavy, it isn't a flaw. It's gravity. It means you matter enough to shape the world around you. Now, imagine drifting deeper into this vision. The stars above begin to stretch, not because they're moving away, but because you're seeing more of the web that connects them. It's not random, it's intricate, like threads of light stitched across infinity. This web isn't made of wires or strings, but of something subtler, possibility. Every thought, every decision, every quiet dream sends a tiny vibration through it, a shimmer that ripples across existence. Some people call it fate, others call it energy. But perhaps it's simply the universe responding, bending slightly to your presence, adjusting its shape to include you. The same way space bends around a star. It bends around you. Let that settle in. The space around you, the very air you move through, isn't neutral. It remembers your steps, your laughter, your quiet nights. Bend to make room for you. That's why no two people ever walk through life in exactly the same way. The universe is custom woven for every being that exists within it. Your existence, then, isn't an accident. It's an anchor point, a place where the fabric curves just enough to form a world. You don't need to chase meaning. You are meaning, folded into matter, suspended in time. Can you feel how vast that is? The scale of it presses gently against the edges of your mind, like the deep pressure of ocean water against a diver's skin. It's not suffocating, it's grounding. Because when you imagine that everything, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, moves together in one seamless rhythm, the chaos of life begins to feel less random. Every loss becomes a ripple returning home. Every joy becomes a glimmer across the current. Even silence becomes music, if you listen long enough. Now, picture this. You are floating in that cosmic ocean, but not as a body. Your awareness itself, no edges, no boundaries, just consciousness drifting through light. Stars pass by like lanterns underwater. Nebulae bloom like slow motion, clouds of color. You can reach out and feel them, not with hands, but with presence. The texture is indescribable, not rough, not smooth, but alive. It vibrates softly against your awareness, like fabric in motion. This is the weave of space, the texture of reality. Every thread hums with potential. Every intersection is a choice. You realize you're not merely in the universe. You are the universe, observing itself from one of its infinite folds. And in that realization, stillness deepens. The need to understand fades. The urge to define melts. You are not trying to grasp the cosmos. You're allowing it to hold you. It's strange how comfort can arise from something so vast. But that's the paradox of existence. The infinite can feel intimate when you stop trying to reach it. Think about how the ocean feels when you float. You surrender control, yet you are completely supported. The same principle holds here. The more you let go, the more the universe carries you. So much of life is spent trying to hold things together. Time, plans, people, yourself. Space holds everything without effort. It doesn't cling to stars or force them to stay. It lets them move, drift, burn, and fade, yet never stops cradling them. That's what love looks like at a cosmic scale. To love, truly, is to hold without gripping, to allow motion without losing connection. The universe has been doing that since the beginning. You are simply learning its language again. Perhaps that's why silence feels sacred, because it's the closest thing to pure space we can experience. When everything goes quiet, you can almost feel the structure of existence beneath it, like hearing the ocean through a shell. The stillness between words, the pause between breaths, even the waiting between moments. All of it is space revealing itself. You begin to notice how everything that truly matters happens within that space, not outside of it. Creativity, rest, healing, love, they all emerge when you stop trying to fill the void. And yet, our minds fear emptiness. We mistake stillness for absence. But what if the opposite is true? What if the spaces we avoid are the very places where meaning lives? The sky doesn't apologize for being empty. It's what allows the stars to shine. The same is true within you. Your quiet moments aren't wasted. They are the open fields where your next light will rise. The universe teaches this with every breath it takes. Expansion and contraction, silence and sound, birth and collapse. Everything moves in balance, woven into that endless, breathing fabric. Imagine now that you could zoom out farther and farther, until the entire cosmos becomes visible at once. Galaxies swirling like glitter in a dark sea. You'd see filaments connecting them, vast strands of light bridging unimaginable distances. It's called the cosmic web, the literal structure of the universe. But even that, massive as it is, mirrors the neural pathways of your brain. The universe thinks in the same pattern you dream in. Every spark of consciousness, from you to the furthest galaxy, is part of the same thought. When you realize that loneliness begins to dissolve, how can you be alone when the entire fabric hums with your existence? You might wonder what holds it all together. What keeps galaxies from drifting apart, or particles from losing their bond? The answer isn't gravity alone. It's relationship, attraction, harmony. In physics, we call it interaction. In life, we call it connection. The universe survives because everything participates in everything else. You are here because of that same participation, because stars burned so atoms could form your skin, because light traveled billions of years just to touch your eyes. Existence isn't something that happens to you. It's something you are constantly co-creating, and the more you sense that, the softer you become. The need to resist fades. You start to see life as the gentle curve it has always been, bending, shifting, but never breaking. Even pain finds its place here. When you hurt, the space around your heart stretches to hold that ache, and in doing so, it becomes larger, more compassionate. Every experience, pleasant or painful, adds texture to the weave. Without it, the fabric would be flat, lifeless. So, you begin to thank it, not the pain itself, but the space that allows it to exist and transform. The longer you float here, the more the boundaries blur. Time loses its sharpness. Minutes stretch into something fluid. The stars begin to pulse slower, then slower still, until even their light feels like a heartbeat. You realize that maybe the universe isn't rushing anywhere. Maybe it's simply being. And in that realization, your own restlessness starts to ease. You don't need to catch up with life. You're already part of its rhythm. The same flow that moves galaxies moves through you. Let your breath follow that rhythm now. Inhale, the universe expands. Exhale, it contracts. You are participating in the oldest dance there is. Nothing to prove, nothing to chase, nothing to fix. Just space and you existing together. When you stop forcing meaning, meaning arrives naturally. It drifts toward you, like starlight traveling home. Maybe that's what stillness really is. Not the absence of motion, but the awareness of being carried, like a feather floating through air that seems invisible until you notice its touch. You begin to trust that even when you can't feel direction, you are still moving exactly where you're meant to. Wave of thought, every wave of thought, every flicker of emotion, every quiet realization is part of the fabric unfolding. You don't have to manage it. You only have to notice it. And when you do, when you truly notice, the universe feels different. It's no longer vast and impersonal. It's intimate and alive. You feel its pulse in the warmth of your hands, in the breath against your lips, in the slow, steady rhythm of your heart. You realize that space doesn't exist outside you. It begins where your awareness begins. You are not drifting in the cosmos. You are the cosmos, dreaming of itself in human form. So rest here in this truth. Let the vastness hold you. Let the silence breathe through you. Feel the threads of space wrapping softly around your mind, around your body, around the endless horizon of who you are. Nothing is separate. Nothing is missing. The universe is whole, and so are you. Sleep now or drift awake. It doesn't matter. In this stillness, you are infinite. The fabric of space hums quietly beneath you, and you are part of its song. You always have been. Even as galaxies spin and stars burn, there is a stillness beneath it all. You might not notice it at first. The universe seems so alive, doesn't it? Suns flare, planets turn, light stretches and bends. Yet beneath every spark and every heartbeat of motion lies something silent, ancient, and unmoving. It is the backdrop that allows everything else to exist. Without that stillness, motion would have nowhere to dance. It's strange, isn't it, how everything that rushes also rests at the same time. Imagine, for a moment, that you could see yourself from far away, not from a nearby hill or through a window, but from 1 billion miles above Earth. You would see the planet spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting the sun at tens of thousands more. You would see the entire solar system racing around the center of the Milky Way, and the galaxy itself drifting through a cosmic web too vast to describe. You are moving faster than you can possibly imagine. Yet right now, as you listen, you feel still. You aren't flying through space. You are sitting, breathing, listening. That's the paradox. Motion and rest are not enemies. They exist together, quietly intertwined. The ancients must have felt this too. When they lay on their backs beneath the open night, they saw the stars as eternal, unchanging lanterns pinned to a dome. They didn't yet know that those stars were blazing suns, each hurtling through the void at impossible speeds. Yet somehow their intuition was right, because from their frame of reference, the sky really was still. It was a truth shaped by perspective, not deception. And maybe that's how stillness works even now. It's not about the world stopping. It's about finding the point of view where everything balances into calm. You are moving, yet at peace. Think about that. The breath inside you is motion. It rises and falls like tides. The blood flowing through your veins never rests. Your cells are busy building and dissolving, the atoms within them trembling with invisible energy. You are a universe of motion. But when you pause and close your eyes, when your awareness draws inward, all that movement softens into one single hum. Stillness isn't the absence of movement. It's the harmony of it. Einstein once said that everything depends on the observer, that time and space are relative, not fixed. To you, sitting quietly, the world may seem unmoving, but to someone watching from another star, even your smallest breath might trace an elegant arc across the galaxy. The truth depends on where you stand. That's how relativity works. But what if it's not just physics? What if peace itself is also a matter of perspective? Maybe stillness isn't something you find by stopping the noise of life, but by realizing you can be centered even while everything spins around you. There is something beautifully humbling about that thought, because if the entire universe can be in motion and yet appear still, then perhaps you, too, can be in chaos and still feel calm. The world may rush, deadlines, expectations, emotions, but somewhere inside you there is a core untouched by velocity, by a place where awareness simply watches, like the black center of a galaxy where stars orbit in blinding light. Yet within that center is silence, gravity, and presence. You have that same still point within you. It's what allows you to keep your balance as everything else turns. Now imagine drifting through space again. Stars glide past, light curves, whole worlds sweep by, and yet in that endless motion you feel no wind, no vibration, no rush. The silence is total. Space is pure stillness. Even photons, racing at light speed, do not feel motion. From their own perspective, time does not pass. To travel infinitely fast is to stand still in eternity. The faster you move, the more still you become. Does that sound impossible? Maybe, but it's a reminder that reality itself is built on paradox, and paradox is what keeps the universe alive in your daily life. This paradox shows up in small ways. You might feel rushed while sitting still, or calm while moving fast. The feeling of speed doesn't depend on speed itself. It depends on attention. When you drive down a highway and lose yourself in a thought, time vanishes. When you wait for a message or a moment of clarity, a single minute feels endless. The external motion stays the same, but your inner rhythm shifts. You are the observer who decides what stillness feels like. Think of dancers spinning across a stage. Their bodies turn so quickly that their skirts blur, but their eyes stay locked on one point. That's how they keep from falling, by fixing on stillness within motion. That's what you can do, too. Find the point that doesn't move your breath, your awareness, your curiosity, and let everything else swirl around it. You don't need to slow the world to find peace. You only need to remember where your still point is. There's something almost divine about realizing this. The universe isn't fighting between order and chaos. It's made of both. Planets move in harmony. Atoms vibrate in balance. Galaxies spiral like choreographed dances. Even destruction, a supernova exploding into darkness, gives birth to new stars. Motion is creation. Stillness is the space that allows creation to exist. The two are lovers, not rivals. And the moment you understand that, you stop resisting the flow of life. You begin to trust it. You've probably felt moments of that trust. Fleeting seconds when you weren't trying to control everything. Maybe it happened during a walk at dusk, or when you watched someone you loved sleep. The world didn't stop, but you did. Time loosened its grip, sound softened, and for a breath you simply were. That's stillness in motion. That's you meeting the universe halfway, matching its rhythm instead of racing it. The human mind fears stillness because it confuses it with stagnation. It fears motion because it confuses it with chaos. But look closer. Stillness isn't inactivity, and motion isn't disorder. Stillness is awareness. Motion is change. When the two merge, life becomes art. Every heartbeat, every turning planet, every sunrise is a brushstroke in a painting that never ends. You are both the artist and the canvas, shaping and being shaped by everything around you. As you drift deeper into thought, notice how time itself begins to slow. The words become softer, longer, stretched like waves reaching shore. That's what stillness feels like when you let it in. Pour. You start to sense that every sound, every flicker of light, is suspended in one vast silence that never began and never ends. Beneath all noise, the quiet hum remains. You might call it peace or awareness, or presence. The cosmos calls it equilibrium, and maybe that's what you've been searching for. Not an escape from movement, but a way to belong within it. The stars don't resist their orbit. Rivers don't struggle to flow. Even you, when you let go of your need to rush, naturally find rhythm again. Stillness isn't something to force. It's something to remember, because it's already there, waiting beneath your thoughts like gravity beneath your feet. So tonight, as you listen and breathe, remember this paradox that shapes everything. You are always moving, and yet you are always still. Every breath carries you forward. Every moment expands the universe within you. You don't have to stop to rest. You only have to see motion for what it truly is, the heartbeat of stillness, echoing across eternity. Perhaps the universe is breathing, expanding, and exhaling across eons. If you close your eyes now, you might feel it, the faint rhythm beneath everything that exists. Not a sound, not even a pulse, but a kind of ancient whisper that stretches through every atom. You are part of that breath. You always have been. When you breathe in, somewhere light travels from a distant star. Waves of gravity ripple through the cosmic fabric, and something vast, unseen, expands just a little more. It's strange to think that what we call empty space is anything but empty. In that still blackness between stars, there is movement so subtle, so patient, that our minds can barely comprehend it. Every galaxy, every planet, every molecule drifts within this vast inhalation. Scientists call it cosmic expansion. But perhaps, if we listen softly enough, we might call it something else. A sigh of creation, a rhythm of existence. Breathe in slowly. Let your shoulders relax. Notice how your chest rises, how your lungs fill. Feel how the air that enters you is the same air once touched by the stars, carried across billions of years. You are not just inhaling oxygen. You are inhaling the memory of the universe itself. This is what it means to exist, to take in everything that was, everything that is, and everything that might still be. Have you ever wondered why breathing feels so calming? Why the simple act of inhaling and exhaling can silence a storm inside your mind? Perhaps it's because your body recognizes something cosmic in that pattern, the same slow rhythm that shaped galaxies and spun worlds into being. Every rise and fall of your breath is a reminder. You are part of something that never truly rushes. We live in a world obsessed with motion, with deadlines, noise, and speed. Yet, in the grand timeline of existence, everything that feels urgent dissolves into dust. Stars are born and die over millions of years. Mountains rise and crumble. Rivers carve their paths so slowly that we rarely notice. And through it all, the universe keeps breathing, steady, unhurried, infinite. You might think the cosmos is chaotic, explosions, collisions, violent births of stars. But if you step far enough back, if you look at it not as separate moments, but as one endless movement, you'll see the symmetry. Every motion balances another. Every beginning leans into an ending. In that balance, there is peace. Imagine watching the Milky Way from beyond itself. A soft spiral of light turning endlessly. A dance that never tires. The stars drift outward, carried by the invisible breath of expansion. Yet within that movement, there is astonishing stillness. Plays that move but leave the ocean unchanged. Everything flows, yet nothing is truly lost. That's what your own breath is, to motion and stillness combined. Every inhale is an arrival. Every exhale a gentle letting go. Between them lies the quiet pause, that sacred still point where everything inside you waits, suspended. That pause is where peace lives. That's where the universe breathes through you. When you take a breath right now, you're not just sustaining life. You're echoing the rhythm of galaxies expanding, stars flaring, atoms vibrating. It's humbling to think that such vast forces are mirrored in something as simple as your lungs rising and falling. The same physics that governs galaxies governs your heartbeat. The same energy that set the cosmos in motion flows quietly through every cell. You are not small. You are the universe, experiencing itself in human form. As your breath slows, notice how your thoughts begin to slow too. This is no accident. The mind, like the cosmos, finds stillness through rhythm. Thoughts, like stars, are born, burn brightly, and fade. You cannot stop them, but you can watch them from a distance, drifting through the dark, harmless and beautiful. Have you ever stood beneath a night sky so clear that you felt both infinite and tiny at once? That strange, quiet paradox. That's the same sensation hidden within every breath. You are the galaxy, and the galaxy is you. When you breathe consciously, you step into that truth. Try it now. Inhale gently, as if pulling light itself into your lung. Feel the air expand inside you, the warmth of being alive. Then exhale slowly, like a wave retreating from the shore. With each breath, imagine the universe moving with you, expanding, contracting, a cosmic heartbeat beyond time. Sometimes we forget that peace is not something we find. It's something we align with. You don't chase it. Few fall into sync with it. The same way the planets follow their paths without strain. When you stop forcing, stop rushing, you return to that ancient rhythm, the one written into your bones long before you were born. What if every breath you've ever taken has been part of a conversation with the cosmos? What if, in some way, every exhale is a message sent back? A whisper of gratitude, a quiet acknowledgement of belonging. You've always been connected. You've always been heard. You are not breathing in the universe. The universe is breathing you. Let that sink in. Let it hum through your awareness. Every inhale is an act of creation. You are being breathed into existence. Every exhale is release, a gentle surrender into the mystery that holds you. The world tells us to keep moving, to keep doing. But tonight you can rest in the truth that even motion has stillness within it. The stars spin, but they do not hurry. The earth turns, but it never strains. There is wisdom in that rhythm. An unspoken message. Everything unfolds when it is ready. Nothing arrives too soon or too late, and neither do you. The next time you feel behind, remember the universe has been expanding for billions of years, and it still hasn't finished its first breath. You have time. You have space. You have the right to slow down. As you continue breathing, feel the expansion inside you. Mirror the cosmos. Feel how the air fills not only your lungs, but the space around your heart. Imagine light moving through your veins, each molecule vibrating softly, like starlight slowed to the rhythm of life. This is the slow breath of the universe, not rushed, not forced, but eternal. When you exhale, imagine galaxies exhaling with you, releasing light, energy, and stories that have traveled across eternity. Somewhere, a star flickers out. Somewhere else, another begins. Creation and rest, rise and fall, inhale and exhale, the eternal balance that keeps everything alive. You are breathing in time with infinity, and when you realize that even for a moment, everything inside you softens. The anxiety loosens its grip. The noise of the world fades into background silence. You return to the beginning, the stillness that existed before sound, before time, the place where the first breath began. You drift through forever, no destination, no beginning, no end. It's not a journey, not a dream. It's simply what is. The boundaries that once felt so solid, up and down, before and after, you and not you, have dissolved into something softer, something infinite. You are floating, not through space, but through the idea of existence itself. There is no gravity here, no pull or push. The stars are distant and quiet, and yet they feel closer than your own heartbeat. You move without effort, gliding on an invisible current that asks for nothing and gives everything. This is eternity, not an endless line, but a vast, timeless ocean. In this ocean, there are no clocks, no past dragging behind you, no future reaching ahead. Every moment simply is, shimmering like light on the surface of still water. The human mind isn't used to this. We cling to sequence, to story, to next. But here, next doesn't exist. Here, all things are now. You might feel a hint of unease at first. Floating can feel uncertain when you're used to standing on solid ground. But then you notice something else, the absence of resistance. No weight, no tension, no pressure to be anyone or anywhere. And as that realization settles in, your mind begins to unclench. You drift, you breathe, you are. That's all there is. That's all there needs to be. Somewhere far away, or maybe right here, a star pulses with light. Its rhythm matches your breath, slow and steady. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, surrender. The cosmos itself seems to breathe with you, as though all creation is quietly exhaling into your awareness. It's strange how peace can feel like motion. You're not standing still, but you're not going anywhere either. You're moving through something endless, yet it feels like you've arrived. This is the paradox of eternity. You cannot reach it because you've never left it. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself drifting through the quiet. The edges of your body dissolve. There's no separation between where you end and where the universe begins. The concept of you starts to blur, not in a frightening way, but in a freeing one. All the stories you've carried, all the definitions, the roles, the noise, they begin to fade like mist. What's left is awareness, simple, pure, infinite. You begin to realize that eternity isn't something outside of you. It's what you've been made of all along. Every thought you've ever had, every breath you've ever taken, has been a ripple in this infinite sea. And even when you stop thinking, when you stop breathing, the sea remains. You are still part of it. You were never separate. How would it feel to stop measuring your life in minutes, hours, years, and instead in moments of awareness? What if the real eternity was not time that stretches forever, but the space you feel inside a single breath? That space, that quiet between heartbeats, is endless. It has no walls, no map. You can rest there. You can stay as long as you wish. There is nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to become. You already are. The voice of the universe, if it had one, would sound like silence. By silence that hums, that vibrates with life, that welcomes you home. It doesn't demand attention. It simply is, and in its presence, you too simply are. Perhaps eternity is not something to understand, but something to surrender to. We are taught to chase meaning, to grasp for structure, to build stories that make us feel safe. But here, there's nothing to chase. Meaning unfolds naturally, like light scattering through a prism. You don't have to hold it, you just have to be it. Imagine yourself now, weightless among galaxies. Nebulas drift by like clouds of painted mist, to pass through them effortlessly, each one a swirl of creation and dissolution. You see stars being born, and others fading away, yet all of it feels calm, unhurried. Even death, even birth, all of it simply happens. And as you drift, you begin to see how natural that is. How even endings are just another kind of floating. You drift, you breathe, you are. The repetition begins to soothe you. Like waves on an infinite shore, it erases the edges of thought. You start to forget what it felt like to rush. There's no sense of needing to get anywhere, because you're already everywhere. The universe holds you the way the ocean holds a drop of water. You are not apart from it. You are of it. There's a deep psychological calm that comes from this surrender, a release of identity as pressure. You stop defining yourself by what you've done or not done, what you've become or failed to become. Those measurements don't belong here. They belong to the world of time. And you've floated beyond time now. Every label begins to dissolve. The achiever, the dreamer, the struggler, the one who tries. What's left when you strip all that away? Just awareness, just presence. You've never been lost. You've just been wearing too many names. And as the names fade, a strange kind of lightness fills the space they leave behind. You begin to feel transparent, like light passing through glass. There's a peace in that. Not emptiness, but openness. You realize you don't need to hold on to meaning for meaning to exist. Perhaps that's the secret of eternity. It's not about lasting forever, but about letting go of the need for beginnings and endings. Eternity is what remains when you stop counting. Breathe. Let yourself drift deeper. The silence feels soft now, not vast or intimidating, but kind. You can almost feel it hum against your skin. A warmth, a vibration that says you belong here. There's no direction to move toward, but if there were, it would be inward, into yourself, into everything. Maybe this is what peace truly feels like. Not the absence of motion, but the freedom from resistance. You're still moving, still breathing, still alive, but everything inside you is in agreement. No part of you is fighting anymore. You drift, you breathe, you are. You realize something profound in that rhythm. That surrender is not the same as giving up. Surrender is returning to your natural state. It's the body's way of remembering what the soul has always known. You are safe here as you float through eternity. You stop needing answers. Questions dissolve into experience. There's no need to know why you're here, or where you're going, or what it all means. You simply exist, and that is enough. The peace you feel isn't something you've created. It's something you've remembered. The longer you float, the less you feel like a separate being. You start to sense a deeper intelligence, not a thinking mind, but a quiet knowing that pulses beneath everything. It's the same intelligence that turns atoms into stars, breath into life. You don't need to control it. You never could. You only need to allow it. The more you allow, the more you dissolve. The more you dissolve, the freer you become. And in that freedom, there is serenity beyond anything words can capture. You drift. You breathe, you are. Time no longer applies. Motion no longer means distance. You are both the traveler and the sky, both the breath and the one who breathes it. You are eternity, dreaming of itself. Near a black hole, time stretches like soft fabric here. In stillness, it does the same. If you close your eyes and breathe, you can almost feel it, the way moments pull and expand when you stop rushing, the way seconds lose their sharp edges and melt into one another. It's not that time slows down. It's that you begin to move differently within it. We often think of time as a straight line, a path we're being carried down. Always forward, always away from something. But in truth, time isn't a line at all. It's more like an ocean, vast, deep, alive, and every thought, every breath, every heartbeat sends out a ripple that moves through it. You're not riding on top of time, you're floating in it. Einstein once said that gravity isn't a force that pulls, it's the bending of space and time itself. The heavier an object, the more it curves the world around it. And the closer you come to that mass, the slower time appears to move. Imagine standing near a black hole, where gravity is so intense that a second for you might be 1,000 years for someone far away. That's not science fiction, bet physics. But here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be near a black hole to feel that bend. You've felt it before, in love, in fear, in wonder. Those moments when time seemed to pause, when a second stretched into infinity. It was your mind's gravity, bending the experience around your awareness. Stillness does the same thing. When you sit quietly, when you breathe and listen without trying to change anything, you create your own gravity, a calm so dense that time slows around it. The world outside may keep spinning, but inside you drift slower, deeper, heavier. Have you ever noticed how time moves differently depending on what you feel? In pain, it crawls. In joy, it flies. In waiting, it drags. In peace, it dissolves completely. We call it relativity. But perhaps it's just perception, the mind's way of translating motion into meaning. Maybe time doesn't pass. Maybe we pass through it, like light bending through water. We move through the fabric of moments, distorting them by the gravity of our attention. Where you place your awareness changes how time feels. When you focus on fear, every second becomes heavy. When you focus on love, moments seem weightless. Awareness itself is the lens that shapes the flow of time. So, when you slow down, truly slow down, you aren't wasting time. You're reshaping it. You're stretching it out, allowing each second to hold more of you. You are bending time. There's a quiet power in realizing that. For most of your life, you've been taught that time controls you, that it ticks forward no matter how you feel, that it's always running out. But the truth is, time isn't chasing you. It's responding to you. The faster your mind races, the faster it seems to move. The calmer you become, the more it softens. In this moment, notice how your breathing changes the rhythm of your thoughts. Each inhale gathers, each exhale releases. The act of breathing itself stretches perception. A slow breath anchors you to the now, the single point where time cannot rush. That's the secret of stillness. It bends the hours the way gravity bends light. It doesn't stop the motion of the universe, but it draws your awareness toward its center, where everything feels slower, denser, more alive. You are your own center of gravity. Every thought, every emotion, every heartbeat orbits around that still point inside you, the part that never moves, even when everything else does. And when you touch it, when you rest there long enough, you begin to see time differently. Not as something slipping away, but as something expanding to meet you. Imagine standing in a forest at night. You look up, and above you, stars scatter like dust across the dark. The light you see left those stars millions of years ago, yet it arrives now, entering your eyes in the present, to the past, traveling through time, meeting your awareness in this exact instant. You are not just in time, you are the meeting point of all time. If you let that thought sit quietly in your mind, you'll start to feel it in your body. The strange, gentle pull of awareness, your own kind of gravity that makes everything slow and sacred. Maybe that's why silence feels so heavy sometimes. Not because it's empty, but because it's full of everything that time usually hides from us. Every breath, every tiny movement, every subtle vibration of being alive. The weight of time isn't a burden, it's presence. It's the feeling of existing so completely in this second that it almost aches. You've felt it before, in moments of awe, when words fell away. Maybe it was standing before the ocean, or holding someone's hand, or watching rain slide down glass. Those were moments of heavy stillness, when awareness itself became gravity, and everything slowed until all that existed was now. And yet, how easily we forget, how often we rush past those moments, chasing something we can't name. We run because we fear time, fear losing it, fear wasting it, fear being left behind by it. But time isn't running away. It's waiting for you to stop running. When you stop, time stops with you. In that stillness, everything becomes sharper, richer. You start to notice the sound of your own heartbeat, the rhythm of your breath, the faint hum of life that underlies everything. The present moment expands until it feels like an entire universe. That's relativity too, not the scientific kind, but the lived kind, the human kind. It's the experience of realizing that time isn't something outside of you. It's something you create moment by moment through the gravity of your attention. Every moment you truly experience fully, consciously, lasts forever. Breathe, feel the air enter your lungs, expand your chest, and flow out again. This breath will never happen again, but right now, it's everything. You are bending the universe around this single act of being, and in that realization, something shifts. The rush of the world fades into background noise. The anxiety about tomorrow dissolves into stillness. You begin to understand that the only time that ever truly existed is the one you are in now. You are here, and here is infinite. You are here, and here is infinite. Let that thought settle like dust in a beam of sunlight. It drifts slowly, quietly, until it rests somewhere deep inside you, a stillness that feels both vast and intimate. The more you focus on that stillness, the more it pulls you in. Awareness itself has a kind of gravity. The more attention you give to peace, the stronger its pull becomes. That's what meditation really is. Not an escape, not a ritual, but a returning, a gentle surrender to your own gravity. Every time your mind wanders, every time you drift into thought, you are simply orbiting, and when you breathe, you fall back into the center again. Imagine the mind as a constellation, billions of thoughts like stars, scattered across the dark sky of your awareness. Most nights, those stars flicker endlessly, but then there are moments, brief, sacred moments, when one by one they dim, and what remains is not emptiness, but clarity. The space between thoughts is where stillness lives. In that stillness, you can feel the shape of time itself. It's not rushing. It's unfolding like petals opening to light. You begin to notice how slow everything truly is when you stop forcing it. How long a second can be when it's full of attention. That's the paradox. We chase time because we think it's scarce, but when we stop chasing, it expands. Scarcity turns to abundance the moment we stop measuring it. There's a story I once heard about astronauts orbiting Earth. They said that, from up there, the sunrise and sunset happen every 90 minutes. Time behaves differently in orbit, faster than slower, depending on velocity and gravity. But what struck me was what one of them said afterward. Up there, you stop thinking in hours. You start thinking in moments. Moments, not minutes, not deadlines. Just the pulse of being alive, measured not by clocks but by awareness. When you stop dividing time, it becomes whole again. And that's what we forget here. Down on Earth, in our rush to move forward, to become something, to keep up, we slice time into smaller and smaller pieces until we can't feel its fullness anymore. Seconds, milliseconds, deadlines, notifications, all fragments of the same ocean. But we treat them like drops. It's no wonder we feel so weightless, so disconnected. We've lost touch with the gravity of presence. What if, instead, you let time feel heavy again, but in a beautiful way? The way a warm blanket feels on your skin. The way silence fills a room after laughter fades. The way the earth holds you up without asking for anything in return. That's the kind of weight that doesn't trap you. It grounds you. Think about it. Every moment of stillness you've ever experienced, real stillness, had a kind of gravity to it. It pulled you inward, slowed your breath, softened your muscles. It made you feel safe. The body recognizes gravity as safety, just as the mind recognizes stillness as peace. And the deeper that gravity, the slower time seems to move. Near a black hole, scientists say, time slows so drastically that an outside observer would see you almost frozen. But for you, standing there, it would feel normal, calm, steady, timeless. Isn't that what happens when you meditate? When you lose track of time doing something you love? When you stare at the stars and forget who you are for a while? Your awareness bends perception, just as gravity bends time. You can sense that bending in your own life. Think of moments that felt eternal. A conversation that touched your soul. A sunset that made you cry. A memory that refuses to fade. Those weren't long moments in time, but they were infinite in feeling. That's what we mean when we talk about the weight of time. Not heaviness in the sense of burden, but depth of meaning, of presence, of being here completely. When we rush, time feels thin, like we're skating on the surface of it, afraid to fall through. But when we slow down, we sink into it. We feel its density, its warmth, its quiet hum. And maybe that's what the universe has been trying to teach us all along. That slowing down is not laziness. It's alignment. It's matching your rhythm to the deeper rhythm that everything else already follows. Planets don't hurry. Stars don't race. The universe expands at the pace of breath, slow, vast, infinite. If you were to drift far enough into space and watch a galaxy turn, it would look motionless. Yet that stillness holds billions of years of movement. The secret is perspective. The greater your awareness, the slower everything becomes. So, when you sit still and breathe, you are, in a way, becoming galactic. You are widening your perspective until time itself begins to slow. That's the weight you feel, not tiredness, but vastness. Your awareness growing so large that it holds everything gently inside it. Let yourself rest in that awareness for a moment. Notice how quiet it is when you stop trying to measure it. Notice how even thoughts seem to move slower, like clouds drifting across a wide, calm sky. Time isn't your enemy here. It's your mirror. It shows you what you focus on. When you live in resistance, time pushes back. When you live in surrender, it softens. When you live in awareness, it stops being something to fight against. Maybe that's why the most peaceful people seem timeless. They carry a stillness that bends the flow of everything around them. You feel it when they walk into a room. The air changes. Their calm becomes a kind of gravity, and others unconsciously slow to match it. You have that power too. Every breath you take in awareness creates a field of calm that ripples outward. You can change the rhythm of a space without speaking. Simply by being. The universe listens to the rhythm you move with. When you rush, it mirrors that back noise, urgency, scattered energy. But when you move slowly, with intention, it begins to match your calm. The world becomes softer, lighter, easier to breathe in. It's not magic, it's resonance. Every atom in your body is tuned to vibration, and vibration is rhythm, and rhythm is time. When you change your inner rhythm, the world feels different, because it's moving in harmony with you. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by the ticking of the clock, remember, the clock measures movement, not meaning. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where the universe expects you to be. Inside this breath, this heartbeat, this stillness. Maybe that's the only kind of time that really matters. Time that is lived. And when you live it fully, it doesn't pass. It expands. The seconds stretch into small eternities. The minutes dissolve into flow. And you realize that eternity was never about lasting forever. It was about being completely here, when you are present. Time becomes infinite, not because it goes on forever, but because it stops needing to. You are no longer counting it. You are becoming it. The weight of time turns into the warmth of being. And for the first time in a long while, you feel at home, not in a place, not in a moment, but in the quiet gravity of your own awareness. That's where eternity begins. When the last star fades, silence will not be loss, it will be peace. Imagine that sentence as a door you can open slowly, with a hand that trembles and then relaxes. The idea of an ending makes us hold our breath. Endings feel like failure, like disappearance. But what if the final curtain is not an erasure, but a rest? What if the last hush is not absence, but completion? A deep folding back into something softer than being. Tonight, let us walk toward that silence not as something to fear, but as a harbor we can choose to enter with open hands. Sit with that thought for a moment. Breathe in, breathe out. The universe, for all its vastness and noise, moves toward equilibrium. Scientists name one possibility in quiet words: heat death. It sounds clinical, sterile, final. A slow cooling, stars burning out, galaxies drifting apart, until the cosmos is a vast, dim field of quiet. But even that image can be softened. Imagine instead a great, global, exhaled universe, letting go of its last gasp of heat and tension and sinking into rest. There is something tender in that letting go, as if creation itself lays down after a long day and closes its tired eyes. We tend to project panic onto endings, because we imagine being left behind, reimagine darkness swallowing meaning. Yet, what if endings are the only places where meaning finally unravels into its pure form? When a story concludes, its themes stand clearer. When a life completes, the relationships, choices, and small acts of kindness shine with distilled clarity. The end gives perspective. The universe is no different. When motion has spent itself, what remains is the essence, not empty, but refined. Think for a minute about the most peaceful moments you've known. Were they full of activity? Or were they quiet? The kind of silence that fills a room when the conversation ends and everyone feels content. Those moments carry a weightless calm that doesn't beg for anything. It simply is. But the quiet end of everything might look, feel, and sound a lot like that. A final, global contentment woven from the small gratitudes of 100 billion years. The human heart is an excellent guide to this idea. Each heartbeat begins with tension. The ventricles contract. Blood surges in. Each ends with release. We could say the world is a similar organism. It pulses with creation and then releases into rest. There's no shame in the downbeat. In music, resolution brings the melody home. It feels restful because it completes the arc. The cosmos, in its eventual hush, reaches resolution on a scale so large it's almost beyond comprehension. But the emotional truth is the same. The end can be home. You might ask, how do we make peace with an ending that is universal? Start small. Consider your own days. The moments you most dread often dissolve into a simple truth. Endings offer the chance to hold something the way it was meant to be held, gentle, without force, without clinging. When you stop fighting the moment and let it end, you discover that the ending is not a theft but a gift. It frames the experience and gives it shape. Apply that to the cosmos, and the picture softens. Whatever the universe's final state, it frames everything that came before in a way that lets their meanings settle and glow. There is also a curious beauty in impermanence. The cherry blossoms bloom brilliantly and then fall. Their briefness is what makes them sacred in many cultures. The stars, for all their seeming permanence, have lives that begin and end, and that cycle is the rhythm of meaning. If nothing ended, nothing would change. Transformation would be impossible. Perhaps the quiet end of everything simply returns everything to a subtle state, where change is no longer necessary, a completion without erosion, a stillness that preserves rather than erases. Fear often hides behind a misunderstanding. We confuse disappearance with nullity. Tell if the last light dies, does memory die with it? Not necessarily. Memory is not confined to photons and entropy. Memory lives in relationships, in patterns, in the way an event changed a sequence of events, in the human heart and the echoes of consciousness. Even if the universe cools to a whisper, the echoes of its story remain in the structures it formed, in the echoes of meaning. Think of an old song. Even if the band stops playing, the memory of the melody lingers in you. That persistence is a kind of immortality, softer and more intimate than immortality we typically fear or covet. When the final silence arrives, there will be no hurry. There will be no deadlines, no breaking news, no gallop of time. The frantic anxiety of scarcity, the thing that presses us to do and accumulate, will collapse like a house of cards at high tide. And in that collapse, what remains will be simple, unadorned, and complete. Imagine a life where every demand falls away. Imagine purity of being stripped of noise. There is a profound relief in that imaginings, a release of the pressure to perform, to accumulate, to prove. The universe's quiet end holds that same kind of release on a cosmic scale. We are creatures of story, but stories too must end. That ending, when met with acceptance, gives a kind of dignity back to the life that preceded it. Consider the way a sunset completes its arc, painting the sky in final, generous colors. No one regrets the sunset because it ended. It is loved because of the completeness it offers. The universe's final dusk might be like that, a slow painting of light into shadow, until there is only soft harmony. It is natural to picture the end as a cliff, and picture ourselves tumbling. But perhaps a kinder analogy is a shoreline at low tide. The sea pulls back, revealing new shapes, stones polished and visible. The receding motion is not loss, but revelation. We see what was hidden beneath the waves. We might find remnants of ships, shells, and quiet treasures we didn't know were ours. The end offers clarity, not deletion. The last dark carries with it the outlines of everything that was. Pretend not erase them. Ask yourself, what would you do differently if you believed the end was gentle rather than catastrophic? The answer alone can reshape your present. You might speak softer, love more openly, forgive quicker. You might choose to savor the small thing. That tiny recalibration is the practical advantage of reimagining cosmic endings. It changes behavior, not just belief. It frees you from the frantic hoarding of moments and invites you into a practice of presence, a habit of tasting life rather than attempting to bottle it. There is also a shared consolation in this viewpoint. The notion that the cosmos ends in peace is not solitary. It is communal. It whispers that all narratives, Even those that seem disparate lead to a common choir. This interconnectedness isn't abstract, it's a bomb. Knowing that endings can hold everyone in the same gentle hush undoes the loneliness that often accompanies contemplations of the end. It is a final gathering, a cosmic meeting place where everything slows and is understood, not judged. You may feel resistance to this. That's natural. Resistance indicates attachment, and attachment is how life gets lived. But notice the tone of your resistance. Is it tight, anxious, grasping? Or is it a tender reluctance, a holding on that springs from love? By the way, consider letting that energy soften into curiosity. Ask, what does it mean for you to be part of a universe that finds rest at the end? How does that shift the way you value the present? People often ask if meaning requires continuity. Isn't an infinite corridor of time necessary for things to have weight? Maybe not. Consider the briefest love affair you've experienced. Few moments can recalibrate a whole life. Meaning is not always cumulative. Sometimes it is concentrated. The same can be true for the universe. The arc of existence may have concentrated its meaning into a pattern so dense that it's final. Quietness simply holds it like a jewel. Let us practice a small exercise of radical reframe. Close your eyes gently. Picture the stars one by one dimming. Not like extinguishing a candle in panic, but like the closing of a long and well-loved book. See the final sentences written with care. Feel the warmth of pages you have read, the familiarity of a language you have learned to love. The story is ending. Bend you, with all your gentle attention, a part of its tenderness. There is dignity in that ending. There is grace. This is not avoidance. We are not pretending that loss won't sting. Loss will sting, and grief will come because the bonds we form are real. But grief itself is a testament to the value of what was. Grief ensures that what ends matter. The quiet end of everything, then, is not an absence of feeling, but the culmination of feeling. It is the world giving all it had and then resting, glowing faintly with the memory of its giving. Sometimes cultures use ritual to attend endings of funeral, a sunset ceremony, a litany to mark completion. These rites do the same thing. They give shape to farewell, so it can be born. The entire cosmos, in its final stillness, will have done its own ritual in the slowest, grandest way imaginable. The pattern of stars and galaxies will lay themselves down like blankets. The elements will have their last, delicate conversations. There is a kind of cosmic ritual in that process, not loud but solemn and meaningful. If this perspective begins to loosen your fear, try letting it enter your daily choices. Allow the idea of a peaceful end to temper your haste. Allow it to guide your words so they become softer, your touches more deliberate, your laughter less guarded. The knowledge that endings can be full of peace can function like a gentle teacher, aligning your days with a larger, kinder tempo. Ask yourself, what legacy do you want to leave when the final hush comes? Not in terms of monuments or fame, but in the small, human register, how you made others feel, the kindnesses you offered, the honesty you practiced. Those are the real echoes that survive in memory. The universe's final quiet may be devoid of noise, but it will be saturated with the intangible residues of millions of tiny lives lived with care. Those residues are meaning distilled. Some might say this reframing is a way of denying the mechanics of cosmology. That would be a misunderstanding. You can accept the facts of physics and also choose a compassionate meaning. Science describes process. Meaning is what we do with that process. The warmth we give is not negated by physics. It is precisely the texture that makes the physics humane. As we move toward the close of this reflection, consider the comfort of small infinities. The warmth of a hand held for a minute can contain a lifetime's worth of solace. In the same way, a universe's worth of history can be contained in the hush that follows its last breath. The scale is vast, but feeling scales with it. You are capable of holding both the enormity and the intimacy at once. You were made for such paradox. When the last star fades, silence will not be loss, it will be peace. Think of the cosmos like a friend laying down after a day of walking beside you. It has carried you, and you have carried it. Now it rests, and its rest contains blessing. If you can meet that rest without fear, you will see endings as gates, not graves. You will see completion as a kind of homecoming. Take one more breath now, slow and full. Exhale the thin, sharp anxiety that clings to thoughts of ending. Hold the softer residue of this reflection like a small flame. Keep it warm. Let it guide you into actions that honor presence rather than accumulation. Speak kindly, forgive swiftly, love clearly. The quiet at the end will hold them all, and in that holding you will have already begun to rest. This is not so. It is not empty. It is full of memory, of meaning, of all the small lights that once shone. The final silence simply arranges them into a calm, a final music that asks you to listen rather than to fear. If you can listen with an open heart, you will discover that the universe's last note is nothing other than a lullaby, soft, vast, and perfectly still. You've been traveling through time your entire life, each second, a soft wave pushing you forward, carrying you from one breath to the next. But have you ever wondered what it would feel like if the wave simply stopped? Not abruptly, not with fear, but with a gentle pause, as if the ocean of existence decided to rest. Imagine for a moment that the clock on your wall no longer ticks, that the heartbeat of the world softens into a steady hum, and that you, right now, are suspended inside a single, infinite breath. This is where time ceases to be something that moves and becomes something that is. When time stops, the first thing you notice is not silence, but clarity. The kind that lives behind everything you've ever done, every plan, every memory, every regret. It's a stillness that doesn't demand your attention. It simply welcomes you. You start to sense that you're not racing toward the future or escaping the past. You're resting inside something deeper, a timeless field where awareness itself seems to breathe. There's no rush here, no sense of arrival or departure. Only the soft realization that all your searching was always happening within the same eternal now. The mind resists this at first. It's so used to measuring, labeling, preparing. It whispers that you should be doing something, remembering, achieving, improving. But when time dissolves, that whisper becomes unnecessary. You don't need to improve the present. You only need to be it. And as you relax into that truth, the edges between you and everything else begin to fade. The air doesn't feel separate from your skin. The thoughts don't feel separate from your being. The now is no longer a passing moment. It's a quiet ocean that holds you completely, without asking for effort or proof. Perhaps you've felt fragments of this before, in a moment of deep awe, standing beneath the stars, or listening to the rhythm of rain against the window at night. Those were tiny ruptures in your sense of linear time, soft reminders that eternity is not something far away. It's the space between one heartbeat and the next. The mind calls them moments of peace. But peace is only what time feels like when it stops measuring itself. Maybe time doesn't flow forward at all. Maybe it blooms outward, a sphere, not a line, and you are always at its center. Every past version of you, every possible future, orbiting gently around the stillness of who you are now. What if every memory you've ever held is still happening, somewhere, in a quiet fold of space-time? And what if the future you long for already exists, shimmering faintly at the edge of your awareness, waiting not for effort but for alignment? The more you let go of control, the more those distant orbits draw near, until everything, every lifetime, every possibility, overlaps into one radiant stillness. Notice what happens when you stop trying to hold on. The muscles in your shoulders soften, the breath lengthens, the noise of thought quiets just enough for you to feel the hum of being alive. That hum isn't inside your body is inside it. The hum is existence itself, vibrating through everything, timeless, patient, infinite. You don't need to chase it. You only need to remember that it never left. There's something profoundly freeing about realizing you've never left the present moment. You can travel through memories, you can dream of futures, but you've never actually stepped outside now. The entire drama of life, the love, the fear, the ambition, the loss unfolds like waves on the surface of this one timeless awareness. Beneath it, the ocean remains untouched, eternal. When you remember that the rush to become someone, to get somewhere, softens into a quiet kind of acceptance. Not the passive kind, the peaceful kind. The kind that says, I am already here. And as you drift deeper into this awareness, the idea of here begins to lose its meaning too. Because if time has stopped, space dissolves with it. Everywhere becomes the same still point, and everything stars, dust, breath, thought converges into one infinite presence. You realize you are not in the universe. You are the universe, momentarily remembering itself. The galaxies that spin for billions of years outside you are mirrored in the calm orbit of your own mind. And the expansion of the cosmos is simply the breath of consciousness, your breath unfolding and returning endlessly. In this state, even words begin to lose weight. They float softly, like feathers that never quite land. Meaning itself becomes fluid, more felt than thought. You don't need to understand anymore. You only need to feel the gentle gravity of stillness pulling you inward. Each sentence slows, each pause deepens, until you sense the rhythm beneath the rhythm, the heartbeat of existence. Steady, timeless, unbroken. It's not emptiness. It's fullness without edges. Every sound, every memory, every possibility exists within it, suspended in an eternal now that never began and never ends. You're not a traveler here. You're home. And maybe that's the quietest truth of all. Time never carried you forward. It only unfolded around your stillness, like light around a flame. When you wake tomorrow, clocks will move again, minutes will return, and the noise of life will begin to hum. But somewhere within you, the stillness will remain untouched, eternal. You can return to it anytime you wish. Just close your eyes, breathe, and remember, the present is not passing. The present is forever. And so, dear traveler, you rest not at the end of the universe, but at the beginning of peace. Everything that was once distant, uncertain, or unreachable has folded quietly into this single breath. You are not leaving time behind. You are returning to where it has always led, here. Every thought, every journey, every question you've carried through this cosmic drift now dissolves, like mist fading into the early light of eternity. The stars are still whispering, but their voices have softened. The universe has exhaled, and you, after all the wandering, have finally found the quiet center within yourself. Notice how silence feels now, not empty but full. Full of all the things you once thought you had to chase. Full of rest, of gentle understanding, of a peace that asks for nothing and gives everything. You no longer need to reach for the stars because you've realized they were never separate from you. Their glow is the same energy that hums in your chest, the same pulse that has guided you through galaxies of thought and memory. This is not the end of your story. It's the deep inhale before the next beginning. The moment where the entire universe closes its eyes with you and drifts into stillness. It's strange, isn't it? We spend so much of our lives trying to get somewhere, to achieve, to prove, to hold on, that we forget the beauty of simply being. We fill our minds with noise, our calendars with movement, and our hearts with expectations, until the silence feels almost alien. But here, in this cosmic stillness, you remember something ancient, that the universe itself rests. Stars collapse, not in defeat, but in release. Even galaxies pause, stretch, breathe. Why should you be any different? We, too, are made of cosmic dust and timeless energy. You, too, are allowed to rest. You are safe here. You are home. There is no need to prepare for tomorrow or fix what has passed. In this vast silence, everything is already whole. Every mistake, every regret, every uncertain path you've taken was simply another constellation forming itself into the story of you. And like the night sky, it all makes sense when seen from afar. The shapes were always there. The meaning was always shining through. Even when you couldn't see it from where you stood, you may feel the faint echo of your thoughts. The last ripples of motion as your mind begins to surrender. Let them drift, each one a small star burning out gently, leaving behind not darkness but peace. Notice how stillness doesn't demand, it invites. It whispers, "You've done enough. You've thought enough. You've been enough. Now rest." Let everything return to the cosmic rhythm that has always known how to take care of you. Time itself begins to loosen its hold. Seconds melt into one another until even the idea of before and after becomes meaningless. You realize how little there ever was to chase. All the striving, the waiting, the rushing, all of it was built on the illusion that something existed outside this moment. But now you can see clearly. There is nowhere else to be. There is nothing left undone. The universe is perfectly balanced in your breath, and your breath is perfectly balanced in the universe. Feel how the body softens when the soul stops running. The shoulders fall. The heart slows. The air feels like it moves through you rather than around you. You are no longer separate from your surroundings. You are the surroundings. The room, the air, the stars beyond. All of it is one continuous field of awareness, stretching quietly into forever. The boundaries fade, and what remains is a kind of quiet belonging. You are not a visitor in this cosmos. You're its heartbeat. Sometimes peace can feel almost too vast to hold. The mind, so used to noise, tries to label it, explain it, reduce it to something familiar. But peace doesn't fit in language. It's not something you understand. It's something you remember. You've known it since the beginning, since before time began counting your breaths. Every time you rested as a child, every time you watched the sunset without thought, every time you felt wonder without words, you were touching this stillness. It was always here, waiting for you to return. And now that you have, you don't need to do anything more. You don't need to guard it or hold it tightly. Stillness doesn't disappear when you stop paying attention. It deepens. It becomes the quiet background of everything you are. Even when life resumes its pace and the world begins to move again, this calm will remain humming softly beneath it all. You can trust it. It will not leave you. The stars above you, if you could see them now, are not watching. They are resting too. Even light, that restless traveler, will one day pause in its eternal flight. The universe itself is in the process of slowing, cooling, breathing. It's not decay, it's completion. It's not death, it's deep rest. The same rest that lives inside you, the same rhythm that calls you now. The end is never the end. It's the space that allows everything to begin again. Maybe peace has always been misunderstood. It's not the absence of noise, but the space in which noise happens. It's not the end of movement, but the calm awareness behind every motion. Peace is not fragile. It is the most powerful force there is. It can outlast time, outshine stars, outlove everything that forgets its own light. And when you let yourself feel it, when you allow it to fill you completely, you realize you were never broken. You were simply unfolding. You can imagine now that you are lying at the center of the universe, and the cosmos is breathing around you. Every exhale expands the galaxies. Every inhale draws them softly back. You are not watching this. You are this. The stillness between each breath is not empty. It's sacred. It's where creation pauses to listen to itself. And if you listen closely, you might hear it too. That quiet voice that has no sound, only presence. It says, "Welcome home. There is nothing left to seek. You've touched eternity and found it was not cold or distant, but gentle and familiar. You've drifted through time, through dreams, through endless space, only to arrive where you've always been. The end and the beginning meet here, in your stillness. The circle closes not as a boundary, but as a homecoming. You were the traveler and the destination all along. So let go now. Let your thoughts become stars, your breath become the wind that carries them. Let your body sink into the gravity of peace that holds every atom together. Let the weight of time dissolve, and in its place, feel the lightness of forever. The universe is resting. Bend you, a reflection of it, are finally allowed to do the same. You are safe. You are home. You are eternal. Nothing can be lost because nothing was ever truly separate. Breast, traveler of the stars. You have wandered far enough. Close your eyes, not to escape the world, but to merge with it. Let the silence cradle you. Let the infinite night become your blanket. And as the last of your waking thoughts drift away, remember, this stillness is not the end. It's the language of the universe, speaking softly through you. Until next time, drift well. Good night.